So hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we'll be looking at how to build this quiz app you see here, and we'll be focusing on the home page, right? So just with any of my UI videos, we will first start by breaking down what we have, so how we are going to arrange our widgets and our pages or whatever we have to do. So let's take a look at this UI, right? So we first have the body of the app, right? And in this case we are not going to have any app bar because of the custom design that is here, right? This section of our UI may act like an app bar, but it's not going to be the normal Flutter app bar. It's going to be a custom one. But since this section of the app does the colored background and the entire quiz section does this card overlap, we are going to take all these as one section and then work on it. So this is going to be a stack widget, and then we are going to position the card, this card, on top of this container. So the purple or deep purple background, right, if I'm right with the color. Now when we come to this section, all this is going to be in a list view because we want it to be scrollable, right? So this section is going to be a list view, and we are going to have our title. So it's just going to be a normal text widget for this section, and this section will also have a card. So our card will just be the normal Flutter card widget, and within the card we are going to have a list style. We are not going to create a custom list style that's using rows and columns, but we are just going to use the default list style with Flutter because this design just fits well with it. So this is going to be the trailing widget. This is going to be the title, so the text here will be the title, and if I position this well, and this will be the subtitle. So this section will be the subtitle for the card, and it's just going to repeat for the number of cards we are going to have, right? So this is how the home page is going to look in a code. And also the last part, that's this section, and if I position this guy well, so that's this section will be our normal bottom navigation bar which doesn't have any label, right? So this how the breakdown looks like, and let's see how it's actually going to be in code. So let's get right into the video. So here in VS Code I have a simple Flutter app running, and in the home page of my app I'm returning a simple scaffold with nothing inside. Also in the pubspec.yaml file I've added two dependencies, that's the Ionicons package and then the Google Fonts package. Also under the assets section of my pubspec.yaml file I've added the assets folder, and there is one image in that folder. That's the background we'll be using for our quiz. So back to our main.dat file, I would want us to change the color scheme for this particular project. So remove the primary swatch and then replace it with color scheme, and that's going to be color scheme dot from seed, and then we are going to pass in our color, which is going to be colors dot deep purple. And if I turned Copilot off, right? Also because we've added the Google Fonts package, I want us to use a custom font called Quicksand. So under your theme data, within your theme data, you can override the text theme with a Google Fonts theme. So Google Fonts dot quicksand text theme, and then we pass in our current theme, so that's theme.offContext.text theme, right? And if I put my comma as well and also import the Google Fonts package, then it should fix the errors we have. Okay, so after restarting the app, everything is working now, and then my font is also working. So if you encounter an issue where your Google Fonts is not working, you just have to restart your app and everything will start working. So let's begin from the home page, and the first thing we'll be doing in the home page is building out the bottom navigation bar, because it's the simplest part of this project. So within the scaffold, we have the bottom navigation bar property, which expects a widget, and of course we are going to use the bottom navigation bar widget. So bottom navigation bar, and within the bottom navigation bar we have to pass in a list of items, which of course are going to be bottom navigation bar items. So I'm going to use the bottom navigation bar item and then pass in an icon. This icon can be of any widget, but mostly you use an icon widget. So an icon, and then pass in the icon you want. And since we added the Ionicons package to our popspec.yaml file, I'll be using an icon from that package, and that's going to be ionicons.home_outline, and the label will be home. And don't forget the label, otherwise you will get an error. And we are going to have 4 of these, so I'm going to duplicate, and when I save I have an error, so I should hot restart, and I think that will fix it. So now our bottom navigation bar is there, but it's not visible, and the way we can fix that is within the bottom navigation bar we can set a property called type, and then set it to bottom navigation bar type.fixed, and that will make sure our bottom navigation bar is visible. And also we want to remove these labels from the bottom navigation bar. If you don't want a label on your bottom navigation bar, don't set the label to an empty string. The label is useful for tooltip, so that when someone long presses on an icon, the person will know what that particular icon stands for. So if you want to remove these labels, there is a property you can use, which is show selected labels, and you set it to false, and also show unselected labels and set that one to false. So when I save, all my labels should be gone. And now let's focus on changing the icons and the labels. So the first icon is the home icon, and then the second icon is going to be ribbon_outline, and then the label is going to be awards, and the third icon is going to be chat box ellipsis outline, and the label is going to be chat, and the last one is going to be profile person. So the icon is going to be person_outline, and then the label is going to be profile instead. So when I save, I should have my bottom navigation bar with the tooltip working, right? And now we are done with the bottom navigation bar part of this app. Now let's focus on the body. So within the body, we are going to have a safe area first, because we don't want anything to go beneath the notification of our app or our phone, right? So within the safe, we are going to have a column, and this column will have the quiz header card widget, and also our list view of quizzes, right? So this is the main thing that will be in this column, and let's first concentrate on the quiz header card widget. So I'm going to my directory under the lib folder. I'm going to create a new folder called widgets, and I'll call this widget quiz header dot that, and this is going to be a stateless widget, and it's first going to start with a size box of height 250. So this is going to be the height that this whole header section is going to occupy, right? So it's just a height I came up with, and I saw that it looks good for this design. You may play around with this height and then check which one looks good for your design. Now the child of this size box will be a stack widget, because we want to stack the children on top of each other, and the children of this stack widget will first be a container with a background image, and that's the background image we have in our asset. And then we will have the card, the join quiz card. But let's first add this quiz header to our home page so that we can see what is going on. So under the quiz header comment, I'm going to add a quiz header widget, and we don't have anything in our size box for now, so we don't have anything in our stack, so you won't see anything on the screen. And the first thing we are going to add is the container with the background image. So I'm going to use a container widget and then give it a height of 200. Also, I'm going to give it some padding all around or only. So I want the top to be 20 and then all the remaining size to be 15. Then within the decoration of this container, so within the container, not outside, we have the box decoration. And within the box decoration, we can use an image as a background of a container. So we have the image property, and this accepts a decoration image. And this decoration image also needs an image provider. In this case, our image is an asset image, so we are going to use the asset image and then passing the name as asset/quiz _bg.png. So there's the image we have in our assets. So when you check our assets, we have just one image, which is this image here, right? Now the image is not fitting the whole container. In order to fix that, we can use the fit property of the decoration image and set it to box fit.cover. That will make sure that our image stretches to cover the whole container. Now within this container, we are going to have a row, right? And the row will contain some text and then the user's avatar. So inside the container, the child is going to be a row widget with some children, and the first child is going to be a column of text, and then the last child will be an avatar, right? So that's going to be the profile image. Now the first child is going to be a column with some children, and the first text is going to be let's play. So when I save that, we should see the let's play text there, and we are going to apply some styles to it. So the first the style we'll be applying is a text style from our theme, right? So we can access that with the theme dot of context dot text theme, and before we can use the theme, we'd have to import material. So I realized I was using an import from Cupertino, so just type material, and then we can now use the theme property. So theme dot of context dot text theme dot headline 5, and that will make our text a little huge. And also I want to override the properties, some of the properties of this headline 5. So I'm going to copy that with some extra properties, right? So I'm first going to change the color to be white, and also increase the font weight to be font weight dot bold. Right, now we have the let's play text well styled, and let's also give some let's also use some sizer box for spacing, and then we can have our next text. That's going to be MB the first. Now the only thing we have to change about this text is the color. So I'm going to change the color, that's within the style, text style, and then change the color to colors.white. Right, and now we are done with this text section. So the next section is going to be our avatar, right? So I'm going to collapse this column, and then we are going to have our avatar, which is just going to be a circle avatar. Circle avatar, and we realize the circle avatar is not well positioned. So what we can do is, within the row, we can use the main axis alignment and set it to main axis alignment dot space between, and also set the cross axis alignment to cross axis alignment dot start. So that will make sure that on the main axis there is space between the column, that's these two texts, and then the avatar, and on the cross axis alignment, that's the opposite of the main axis alignment, we are aligning it to the start of this row. So that will make sure that our avatar is well positioned. Now I want to change some few properties of this avatar. So first, I'm going to increase the radius to 25, and also change the background color. So I don't want this blue color, I want to a background color from my theme. So I'm going to access the theme, and then my color scheme and secondary container color, right? And when I do that, we should have this background color. And also the child of this circle avatar is going to be a text widget, which will contain the user's initials, so LS for now. And it doesn't look good on this background, so let's apply some styles to it. Text style, and then give it a font weight of bold, and also change the color to a color that will be good on the secondary container. So when you are using the color scheme, you can choose those colors automatically, and we can access that with theme dot off context dot color scheme dot on secondary container. And if we remove the cons from here, our error should be gone, and when we save, we should have this dark color. Right, now that will be for the container with the background image. Now the next thing will be the join quiz card, which is going to be positioned somewhere here, right? So let's first start with a positioned widget, and then the child of this position widget is going to be a sizer box. Now if I bring this a little down, so below the comments, now we are going to position this 10 from the bottom, right? So want it to have a bottom of 10, negative 10, and then left of 0, right of 0. And what this will do, left of 0, right of 0 will do is it will center this card, right, which is in a sizer box. Now we want the card to have a height of 140. So that's the main reason why I'm wrapping the card in a sizer box. And here comes our card, right? So now realize we have our card which is having a height of 140. Now we also want some padding here. So as you can see, our card is too close to our screen, so wrap our sizer box in a padding widget. Now we add some padding and then increase the padding. So instead of all side, we are going to have just on the horizontal. So we can use the symmetric and then pass in the horizontal of 15, right? And now when we save, we should have enough padding on our card. Now realize there's not much difference between our card and our scaffold background, so let's make some changes on our card. We're first going to increase the elevation to 5, that's the amount of shadow we have on our card, and also change the shadow color, right? So I'm going to change the shadow color to colors.black and black 38, so that's a light grayish color. And also change the border radius of this card, so we can do that with the shape property and then give it a rounded rectangle border. Now within this rounded rectangle border, we can pass in the border radius and then border radius dot all, and we pass in radius dot circular 10, right? So any radius that looks good for you, you can use it here. Now within our card, we want to have a column, right? So within our card, if I put my commerce well, within our card we want to have a column, so the child is going to be a column. And now the children of this column, the children of this column is going to be a text. So first we are going to have a text that says enter your quiz code, right? And when we save, we should have our text there, but we also have one problem. Our text is too close to the edges of the card, so we can wrap our column in a padding widget and then just use the default 8 value, right? And also align our text to the start of this column, so we can use the cross axis alignment property and set it to cross axis alignment dot start. Now let's style this text a little bit. So within the style of this text, I'm going to use a style from my theme, and I'm going to the subtitle 1, so text theme dot subtitle 1, and if I remove the cons from here, that should fix the error. Also I would want to override some properties, so I'm going to copy it and then increase the font weight. Right, and now we should have our text more styled. Now within this column, after the text, we are going to have another text, right? So enter your quiz to play with your friends. So we are going to have a sizer box again for spacing with a height of 5, and we are going to have the text to play with your friends. Now the next thing is going to be a text field with a button. So we are going to first have a row, and then a child. Within the row we are going to have some children, right? Now within the children we are going to have a text field, and we are going to have a button as well. Now the child of this button will be a text that says join, but when we save, we are going to have an error here So when we say I'm going to have this kind of annoying error, in order to fix that, you would have to wrap your text field in either an expanded or flexible widget. So I'm going to wrap it in an expanded widget, and that will make sure our text field only takes the remaining space, right? So if I hot restart and if everything is okay, that should fix our issue. Okay, so now we have our text field and then our button. Let's start our text field a little bit. So in the text field, we can use the decoration property and then apply an input decoration. Now we are going to have a hint text. That's the text you see in the text field, and that is going to be enter code. And also we are going to change the padding within the text field. So we will do that with the content padding property and give it a padding all around of 10, right? Now we also want some border, right? So within the input decoration, we can use the border property and set it to outlined input border, and that will give us some border around the input field. And then we have to also change the border radius. So I'm going to use the border radius and border radius dot all and pass in radius dot circular, then a value of 5. So that will round our circle a bit, and there are still some other stuffs we have to fix. So we first have to apply some sizer box so that we have some spacing between this text and the text field, or we can use the spacer widget. So after to play with your friend's text, you can put a spacer widget here, and that will push everything downwards, right? Or you can also put a sizer box there. So a sizer box of height around 15 will fix that. Now we also want some space between the text field and then the button. So within the row, we are going to have a sizer box here and give it a width of 10. Okay, so that should fix the spacing issue with our text field and then the button. And that's all for our quiz header card or quiz header widget. So we can focus on the list view below. So back to the home page, after the quiz header, we can have a list view widget, and we would have to move the cons from here and also put a comma here. But when we save this right now, we're going to have an error and our list view won't work because vertical viewports will be given an unbounded height. What that means is we have to tell this list view to only take the available space, because it's in a column. And in order to do that, we are going to wrap this list view in an expanded widget, which will tell it to only take the available space. And now when we save, we shouldn't have any error. Now the children of this list view will first be a text that says recent quiz, and when we save, we have some issue with our list view because of padding. Our list view is very close to our card and also close to our screen, so we can fix that with the padding property of the list view and set it to edge insect dot only. Now I want to give custom paddings over here, so I want more padding on the top, and I'm going to give a padding of 25. Then the remaining size will be 15 each, so left will be 15, bottom will be 15, and right will be 15. And when we save, we should have enough padding for our content. And also I want to change the physics of this list view. So I'm changing the physics to bouncing scroll physics, and that will give the Apple-like scrolling effect. So when you over scroll, it bounces off the screen and it doesn't show that glow. Now this recent quiz can be styled a little bit, so I'm going to use the headline 6 from my team. And then remove the cons from here. Right now we are going to have a list of recent quizzes, right? So we are going to create a widget for just that, and back to our widgets folder, we can create another file called recent quiz, and this is going to be a stateless widget, and it's first going to start off with a card. So we're going to have a card, and let's bring this recent quiz into our list view in our home page. So let's first have some size box of height 15, and then our recent quiz. Now within our recent quiz, we are going to have a list style. So the child is going to be a list style, and the leading of this list style is going to be a container, because I want to give custom styling to the icon, and the width is going to be 50, the height is going to be 50, and then decoration is going to be box decoration, with the color being our secondary color from our color scheme. Now I'm also going to apply some border radius, so border radius dot circular, and then give it a value of 10. And now when we save, we should have this container here. Now we need some padding within our list style, and also I want to change the elevation and color of the shadow, right, of our card shadow. So within our card, I want to take the elevation to 5, and also change the shadow color to colors.black 26. Right now within our list style, we are going to have padding in our list style, and we are going to use the content padding property and give padding all around of 15. Right now we have some padding within our list style. Now we can supply the on tap so that we see the splash when we tap on it, and there's our list style. Now the child of this container is going to be an icon widget, so I'm going to use an icon from the Cupertino collection. So Cupertino icons dot globe, right, and I'm going to change the color of this icon. So I'm going to change the color to colors.white, and now we have our leading section of our list style. Now the title, not this but outside the container, the title will be a text widget with the name of this quiz, and for now I'm going to write geography. And also our subtitle is going to be a row instead of a normal text widget. and then it's going to have a main axis size of main axis size dot main, because we want our row to only take as much as its children, the space that its children occupies. Now within the children, we are going to have an icon, and the first icon is going to be icons dot document text outline. When we save, we should have this icon there, and let's reduce the size of the icon. So I'm going to use the size property of the icon and set it to 18. Now some sizer box for spacing, and then give it a width of 5. Then we'll have a text. So this text will be a ratio of the answered questions over the total questions. So for now, I'm going to write something like 10 out of 10 questions, and this is what we have for our recent quiz. So we are going to have a class or a model for this recent quizzes. Then we loop over them, and for each of that recent quiz model, we return a recent quiz card, right? So let me show you how we are going to do that. In our lib folder, I'm creating another folder called models, and I'm going to create a file called recent quiz model. Now this recent quiz model is going to be a class, and it's going to have the total questions, which is of type integer, and then the answered questions, so answered questions, which is of type int, the name, which is of type string, and then we are going to have the icon, which is an icon data. And let's require all of these fields in our constructor. So I'm going to generate the constructor, and we are going to have a list of recent quizzes, right, so that we can loop and then have something in our UI. So I'm going to create a list of recent quizzes, so recent quiz model, and call it recent quizzes. Now within this, each of them is going to be a recent quiz model. So we have our recent quiz model, and then we are going to have total questions. So for now, I'm going to enter some values here. Answered questions, the name is going to be general knowledge, and then the icon is going to be Cupertino icons .globe. So we are going to have a lot of these in our recent quizzes, and I've already prepared a sample of them already, so I'm going to just copy them in. Right, so these are just names, icons, right, and we will loop over this in our home page. So let's go to our home page, and just after the sizer box, we're not going to return a single recent quiz, but we return multiple recent quizzes. So let's first loop with the list.generate, and then the length is going to be our recent quizzes dot length, and the generator is going to be a function that returns a recent quiz. And we will get a warning here because this is going to return a list of recent quiz widgets. So what we can do is we can spread this out, right, using the spread operator, and this will spread the results into the list view. Now when we save, we should have a lot of these recent quizzes, right, but we have to pass each recent quiz to the recent quiz widget. So let's go back to the recent quiz and require these parameters. So let's require the recent quiz model, right, in our constructor, and now we can pass that recent quiz model using the recent quizzes index, right, and we'll have to remove the cons from here, and that will fix everything. Now within the recent quiz, we can now use the recent quiz model we are getting in our UI. So the name is not always going to be geography, it's going to be the recent quiz model.name, and when we save, we should have the names changing. And also the icon is not going to be Cupertino's icon dot globe, is going to be recent quiz model dot icon, and we have to move the cons from here, and when we save, the icons should change automatically. Now the last thing is the number of questions, which I'm going to leave as 10 out of 10 because it's just a sample, you just get the idea. And the next section is going to be the live quiz section, which is just similar to this. So I'm going to copy this, all of this, so starting from here downwards, and I'm going to put a sizer box here. So a sizer box of height 15 for some spacing. And now instead of recent quiz, we are going to have live quiz. Now the live quiz widget is going to be similar, like almost identical to the recent quiz. So I'm going to create it really quick. So back in our widget, we're going to have live quiz dot that, and I'm going to copy this recent quiz and then paste it in the live quiz and make some few changes. So instead of requiring a recent quiz model, we are going to create a model for the live quiz. So live quiz model dot that, and the live quiz model will have a name, it will have an icon just like we already saw in the recent quiz, and then it will also have active players. So that's the only thing that is going to differ, active players. And now let's require all these in the constructor. Now if you guess we are going to have a list of live quizzes, then we're right. So we're going to have a list of live quiz model, and I'm going to copy one in here. So I just have one live quiz model here, and I'm also going to copy some from the recent quiz section. So and then we can change the name. So live quiz model, and then we can remove this and add the active players as random integer. Right, so I'm just going to add this active players, And now we have a list of live quizzes. So just like we did for the recent quiz, back here we are going to generate live quizzes.length, and instead of returning the recent quiz, we are going to change our live quiz UI a bit. So in the live quiz, we are going to call it live quiz, and instead of requiring recent quiz, we are going to require live quiz model and then call it live quiz model. Now the icon is going to be live quiz model.icon, name is going to be live quiz model.name, but the only change is going to be over here. So we are going to have the number of active players, that's live quiz model.active players, and then with the text active players, and we'd have to move this const. Now we'd have to require the live quiz instead of the recent quiz, and that will fix the error. So back to our home page, we can now return a live quiz model, then change this to live quiz a live quiz, and then passing the live quiz model, just like this. And now when we save, we should have this, right? So this is the quiz app, right? We can also change the colors for the live quiz. So back to the live quiz model, instead of using the secondary, we can use the primary color, and that will look good for the live quiz, right? So this is the quiz app. If you enjoyed this video, kindly hit the like button, subscribe, and then comment as well. Let me know what you want to see me build next, and then I'll work on it. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.